Alright guys, welcome to The Last of Us Part 2 Remake. I know, before anybody says anything, this is Naughty Dog's second game on the PS5, and it's another remake. I hope that when the PS6 comes out, they don't do a bundle where it's Last of Us Part 1 and Part 2 remake, you know? That would be insane, but hopefully Naughty Dog's next game is actually a new game, either the new IP or Part 3. Either way, let's focus on this game. So, this game, I'm not going to be doing the full walkthrough on this channel. The goal will actually be to focus on two different game modes that have come with this remake on the PS5. The first one is the making of the lost levels. There are 3 lost levels in the Last of Us Part 2 remake that are essentially levels that didn't make it to the final game for whatever reason, and they include developer commentary inside them, which hopefully will let us glean into why they were, what the purpose was, why they didn't make it, blah blah blah, so on and so forth. And so I believe each level is about 25 to 30 minutes long, so I'll be showcasing all 3 levels. And then after that, I'll be showcasing the no return game mode. Now this game mode is essentially mercenaries from Resident Evil 4. You have a list of characters. Each character has a certain loadout, perks. You drop them on a map and you have to survive until the end. I think the end has a boss fight as well. And I'll be showcasing all 10 characters. There are 5 for, I guess, each quote-unquote side. So you have the Jackson side, and then you have the Abby side, I guess, the wolf side, So, if I'm not mistaken, I'll be focusing on those characters after this. I don't know if I'll be breaking down the levels into 3 separate videos or all levels in one video. We'll see. By the way, in case anybody wants to know, Last of Us Part 2, I love this game. I think the game is fantastic. It is not as good as Part 1 in terms of story. Everything else is better. My main criticism with the story was the pacing and the side characters being weaker than Part 1's. I'm not going to go into that more because obviously this game had an immense amount of controversy when it first came out. People hate this game, people love this game. But yeah, I'm on the love side. That's all I'm going to say. So let's jump in. I'm also playing on performance mode because I don't personally care about 4K 30 FPS. I prefer the 60 FPS experience. And I believe it can jump to 1440p on the 60 FPS version. So yeah, let's just jump in. So we have 3 levels: Jackson Party, Seattle Sewers, and The Hunt. Now, I presume you're watching this, you already know the story of Last of Us Part 2, so if not, I would suggest knowing what the story is before you jump into these, because these take place at certain points in the game. So the first one is Jackson Party. Now, this, I believe, is going to take place the day before Joel, spoiler alert, dies. So yeah, let's jump in. So Ellie nervously attends a party in Jackson. This level is presented in an unfinished pre-alpha state, reflecting its state when it was originally cut from the game. This level does not have spoken dialogue, only placeholder lines and shown as subtitles. Okay. I wonder if there's going to be combat in this stuff. Like, I expect maybe there to be combat here. So this one doesn't have any dialogue. It does have subtitles. This one looks like it has dialogue. Yeah, these two look like they might have combat of some kind, hopefully. Developer commentary on... What is this? Begin the level with an introduction video from... Yeah, sure, why not? This will be pretty good. Let's jump in.
You're about to play an unfinished level from The Last of Us Part 2. The reason we added this section is there are a few sequences, and we picked the 3 of the best ones, that we cut from the game. Often we build a game that's much bigger than what ends up being the final product. They're months away from being finished, but we wanted to give you an insight of what it's like when we built the game, because often we have this whole thing constructed and it doesn't have final art or audio or dialogue. And here you get to see the building blocks of what it's like when we first string a bunch of these levels together. This is the intro to the first deleted level, and this one is the roughest of the 3. We wanted to show more of how Jackson operates. So this is the festival where Ellie ultimately kisses Dina. This sequence would have come very late in the game as a flashback sequence while you're in the farm with Dina. And we wanted to show what is the rest of Jackson doing, and wanted to put on the stick, make it interactive. So you could see when you're outside, there are all these almost like carnival games that you can play. You could mix drinks, you could play with these kids that are playing a sort of clicker Marco Polo, sit down and listen to conversations. And all the different interactions were first or second pass, very, very early passes. The building blocks are there, but nothing is final. And ultimately, while we were very excited by this sequence, it's pretty fun and lighthearted. it just slowed things too much as we're barreling towards the end of the story at this point. So again, reminder, rough, missing audio, missing animation, missing gameplay tweaks, missing dialogue, but pretty representative of what it would have been. So enjoy.
All right, let's long exhale. All right. I don't know if I should actually say the dialogue out loud, because obviously there's no dialogues in this game, in this level at least. Yeah, you can see the animations also on final. The bottle wasn't aimed properly. Keep in mind, this studio has some of the best animation work in the industry, so it's going to be rough. Also, it doesn't look... I have different settings on the PS4 version of the game, so I need to quickly change those. Yeah, look sensitivity. I like to bump this up to 75, maybe it will be good. And I think that should be good for now. I do plan on playing the game myself on grounded mode. I have finished the game on grounded on the PS4. And it was incredible. I think this is one of the few games which I really enjoyed playing on the hardest difficulty. Usually I find games to be very tedious.
Originally, this level was going to transition us to farm. We would go all the way through to the dance, where Ellie and Dina share their first kiss. Then we would play through farm, and when Ellie plays the guitar at night, she would remember the Seth incident.
Alright, before I do that, I also noticed that there is some... yeah, we'll reduce the film grain to 0. I just noticed there's film grain, which I don't like. We'll keep the camera shake on full. Motion blur also will reduce to 2. I like a little bit of motion blur in cinematic games because it does add to the effect. Maybe I'll put it at 5 and see how it looks. But yeah, film grain has to go.
So, the opening for this was a little tricky. We needed it to match at least a little what you might expect emotionally coming from prior beats, because we were already purposefully disorienting you in time and space. Remember, you just came from this huge fight. To jump straight into it would have been a little too jarring. After some back and forth, we rooted it in Ellie's nerves, calling back to her hands shaking in the theater. But this time, for a much more innocuous reason we'll find out later. She's nervous because she has a crush on Dina, who is the only reason why she's here at the dance.
I believe the cutscene which plays when Ellie kisses Dina takes place... I believe it's the final flashback, I think, before the game switches to Abby's perspective, if I'm not mistaken. It explains why, it explains that this was the night after she kisses Dina that she wanted to try to make amends with Joel. You know, for an infinite... Yeah, look at that. Oh my god, look at that textured building, guys. Alright, I'm trying to remove the controls. It's been some time. Lovely building. Very lovely textures.
Something we really wanted to do was highlight the way their lives had turned upside down since she went down this path. We had this idea of recontextualizing all of our usual gameplay mechanics that were designed for really violent ends. The workbench, door bashes, throwable weapons, and even the infected, which is my personal favorite. Peppered throughout the level are moments of levity or shared history, all the while seeing how happy and mundane they all were before her huge revenge odyssey.
Okay. I mean, for an unfinished level, it doesn't look... You know, it doesn't look terrible. It looks pretty decent. Obviously, you know, some assets are missing textures. You can see the facets on this asset. They've added a basic bevel to the edges and that's it. Alright, I see 2, 3, 4 prompts. Alright. So there's a total of 7 prompts, which means there's a 5th one hiding somewhere. Alright, let's go.
It is not a festival without one of these throwing games. This one, of course, uses our throwable system where you're often chucking explosive things or stunning things, but for a more wholesome purpose, although some people take this game really seriously. A fun aspect of this is if you did well, you could win a toy here. Ellie would place it in her pocket. If you had done this, you'd find the toy with JJ, the baby, later back at the farm.
That would have been
when
nice.
We cut this, the toy made it through anyway because it was so cute.
I remember the toy.
It is the same one you see on the tractor at the farm.
Yeah.
Ollie the elephant.
It's the one you have to pick up on... Yeah, I remember this. I'm a master at this. Oh yeah, aiming needs to also go up a little bit. Controls. Aim sensitivity, we'll match it with 75. Should feel a bit better. I think I can bump it up actually even a bit more. Shut up, this game is rigged anyway. 1, 2, 3. Hey Ellie, come sit, cat. Face painting, okay. Wait, if she did face painting, would this have come in the cutscene as well, where she kisses Dina? How's that tattoo doing? It's fine, does the job. Yeah, there's no tattoo on the face. So they obviously hadn't decided a decal or a tattoo they wanted to design. We should touch it up. Maybe I can add something else.
The makeup artist is pretty simple. It's one of those little in-game scenes we peppered in to make it feel like Ellie had roots in the town. Hallie, our writer, mentioned that in her mind, an ex-girlfriend of Ellie's tattooed her arm to cover up her scar. So we figured this might be the only time you get to see that. We wanted to hint at it and allude to it and make it feel like there had been so much more that had been happening and so much more that Ellie threw away.
Oh, did she just say that Kat was potentially her girlfriend or ex-girlfriend before she started dating Dina? I mean, if that's the case, they seem to have ended on very pleasant terms, which I like. Game prizes.
This is one of my favorite sections because I think that it achieves both the slice of life aspect of Jackson while also being a stark reminder of how dark the world that they live in really is.
Yeah, the kids actually had
To attract attention and curiosity, one of the kids was supposed to make this adorable, messed up little clicker impression, and the others would giggle. We tried a version where if you got close enough, the kid might try to follow you a little before turning back. Since clickers are blind and move by echolocation, for this game of messed up tag, Ellie must close her eyes and listen for when the children give themselves away. The thought was that these kids are in relative safety. They still grow up with the dangers of clickers and runners, and all those lessons would embed themselves in the games that they play. When the festival got cut, they tried to preserve this moment and move it to the front of the game, where the snowball fight is, as a tutorial. However, being in the headspace of a clicker doesn't really teach you how to deal with them. Eventually, it evolved, and they instead made the snowball fight, which was, I think, way more effective. For me, it's character illuminating that not only does Ellie know this game, she plays along. There's a familiarity with the kids that's really nice to see, especially because it's such a difference from the Ellie we see later, who has a sort of hollow normalcy that she's trying to get with JJ, but kind of fails.
I like how all the kids look the same. There's, I think, this girl, by the way, looks like a miniature Ellie, and I think there's 5 of them. And there's also this young black kid. I do like that touch, though. It's actually... You're hiding the wrong way. Careful, there's a clicker on the loose. Alright, I see the dial. Alright, what is this? Oh, this is Smash It, the Smash It arcade game. Press square to start to swing, then press square again as the bar approaches the top. Okay. Boom. That's right. And that's how it's done.
We use our workbench a lot to make a lot of things that kill and maim and hurt people. Here, we had the silly idea of using the same feel, harkening back to the same animations, using the exact same UI to instead fix a drink. Like the workbench, you could pick your base, and then you could add something to it. And at the time, we had some different reactions from Ellie based on how strong you chose to make the drink. Something we wanted to prototype, though, before it got cut, was picking up some ingredients around to add, like a lime or maybe a bottle of someone's favorite whiskey or salt, like you were earning upgrades. We also toyed with having Ellie carry around the drink you made and occasionally sip it, psyching herself up to go talk to Dina inside because she's nervous. It got too noodly though, because she would need to keep placing it somewhere before she did anything, so it would have ended up more trouble.
Makes sense, okay, because she'd have to put the glass down to play all these arcade games or play the clicker game. Alright, so that's 6 done. The final one I did see is on the far right. And this is the church where the kiss happens. I recognize the song. It's the same song that played in the cutscene. Here it is. Is this a well? No.
There's a hidden spot at the back that was just a bit of fun. It was highlighting Jackson's normalcy with something we would find in a real world. In the back, you would find teenagers finding some alone time with each other, in a dark corner of a party. It was rewarding the player for peeking into a hidden corner, but ultimately redirecting them back to the festival. We also had versions of them smoking weed here, despite Maria's consternation, probably having gotten it from Eugene.
Were they supposed to be placeholders for teenagers? Because they look a lot older. Alright, cool. I think that's pretty much it. I think we can jump into... And it's Maria over there. It's just so weird how that dead stare that Maria has. There's Tommy. So this is before they're broken up. So keep in mind, at the end of part 2, Tommy and Maria break up. They get divorced, I believe. Alright, that's level. Pretty short, about 15 minutes. So I think I can just jump straight to... I think I'll do all of them in one video. I think that'll be the best. Alright, Ellie is swept away into the Seattle sewer system. So this takes place, I think, on day... I believe it's day 2, when Ellie is going after Nora at the hospital. And that this takes place after a stalker pushes Ellie out of a building, I believe. These are fun. I'm actually very interested in these kind of things. I like breakdowns of a lot of stuff. It's a lot more information. Alright, Mr. Druckmann. Seattle sewers. Seattle was such an incredible environment.
In this second deleted level, which is an extended sequence of the sewers in Seattle. This comes on the heels of where Ellie goes into a building and she survives an attack by stalkers and gets thrown out of a window and gets swept away by the current. And then we cut this section that used to be there in the final game. Now you will get to play it. So this was a way to get a bit more interesting puzzles, interesting traversal, figure out how Ellie can navigate the sewers with the fighting current. Ultimately, with a lot of these levels and these sequences, the reason why we cut them were for pacing purposes. But here it is for you in this very kind of raw form that part of it will feel finished, parts of it will feel like assets are missing as far as audio, animation won't be final, but it's a glimpse into what a game looks like when it's months away from finishing. Enjoy.
So yeah, I was saying, I think Seattle itself is its own character. It's incredible. Right into it. Oh, I missed this game so much. I want to play this now. Get off me! Oh, the music is back. That wailing tone. That I love that one for some reason. It's so good. Ouch. Alright, how the hell am I? There we go. Okay. I mean, I do have weapons.
Seattle. Okay. Where the hell am I?
So I believe this section leads to the first Scar encounter.
The ladder acts as an immediate goal for the player, but being able to climb out is not going to be so easy. To keep levels interesting and engaging, we alternate between positive and negative values the player experiences. Here, it's a positive to have found a ladder, but then a negative to discover it's not the solution. But then another positive to identify the next short-term goal of the doorway. By alternating between these opposing values, we give players what they expect, but not how they expect it.
Fucking kidding me.
I think I need to just quickly change some audio settings. I feel like the dialogue is a little too quick. Yeah, let's bump it up. So usually I play on lowered audio so that you can hear my voice. So I think we'll do this. That should be good. Let's go.
Okay. There's gotta be another way out.
Right, so I'm supposed to obviously go there. The yellow paint of game design. Ever present. So I think Do I just jump in the water? There we go. We're so close. It looks like she's humping the dam. Yeah, you can see it's a little wonky.
This level, internally known as Find Nora, was quite long in duration as we had to make Ellie traverse a far distance to the opposite side of downtown Seattle. The sewer section was originally longer than what we released the game with, approximately 10 minutes more. This was one of the few areas of the game that used water flow as part of a traversal puzzle. The player has to go upstream to use the current to get to the platform to reach the other side. We mostly cut this mechanic game wide, however it remained in essence in the section swimming to the aquarium as Ellie when you were avoiding the waves.
I was about to say something I forgot. Damn it, commentary, made me forget. Before we go, let's check what's in here.
What have we got here?
I mean, I'm not expecting combat in here, but I know game, I know.
When players reach the doorway and enter into the room, they are faced with a dead end. The real reason for this dead end room is that on the reversal, when exiting back out of the doorway, players are faced with the route onwards. A pipe that they'd not been able to see when they were swept past it on the way in, and something that was hidden from view when on the side platforms. The intention here being that the only option is to go off the standard path in order to search for a way out.
I don't think I can make that. Can I make that? I can, okay. I'm just concerned she'll slip. Okay, good.
Get me the hell out of here.
Throughout the rest of the level, we also used light to indicate to the player that they were heading in the right direction. At each turn, however, we blocked the direct route forward. Players would know that they just have to keep finding alternative paths, promoting those feelings of being desperate and trapped. We slowly introduced the player to consider climbing into smaller pipes and crouching in these tight spaces. This is to slowly build up to, and encourage, the player to climb into such small pipes that they'd have to be crawling on their stomach, which is something that the player previously may not have recognised as a playable space, let alone the desired route they need to take.
Wait, I know this is the way to go, but I'm hoping I didn't miss anything there. It doesn't look like it, so that's good. Again, there's 16 of them, I found 5.
Up and out.
We added a
Keep
tiny
going up and
space
out.
just to reward the
I haven't
player's
missed anything
exploration
because-
with a pickup item, and we made sure it was something that made sense that you'd find in this area. A canister and all the garbage that had been washed into the sewers from the surface.
That canister, okay. So yeah, by the way, when you pick them up, you don't pick them up based on how the number doesn't update on how many you found. It's the order that they're present in. So in the previous mission, I found number 6 first before number 5. So just keep this. So far, I'm not missed anything. That's good.
We loved the idea of making Ellie prone through a tiny dirty pipe in order to get out, as it was a great opportunity to use our prone mechanic. The unique camera setup was created to support crawling in these pipes,
lose your
as
shit,
the
Ellie.
standard prone camera is much higher above the player. We also created custom collision in order for Ellie to manoeuvre in these tight spaces easily. Initially, the oblong collision capsule around a character caused issues crawling around corners. We put extra effort into the custom corner collision, so the movement experience is as smooth as the main game.
Oh yeah, I know what I was about to say now. So they've also confirmed that a Grounded Part 2 will be coming out. For those who don't know what Grounded is, the first game received like a developer commentary and how the game was made kind of thing called Grounded. It was a really good video. I really recommend watching it. And Grounded Part 2 is confirmed. I think it's supposed to come out today or sometime in the near future, this month though. And I think the trailer, if you see the trailer for it, they actually looks like they're going to talk about the crunch that this game experienced, which was a big criticism that the studio Naughty Dog received.
In order for the player to feel cramped, claustrophobic and desperate, we'd been enforcing the traversal mechanics that allow for a tight environment which promote these feelings. We introduced the use of the squeeze through so that we can keep the player feeling enclosed and tight, but without repeating the same geometry. Here we change from low ceilings with wider walls to high ceilings and tight walls to change up the spatial pacing and keep the level from repeating itself.
Alright, so this looks like it was just meant to be a purely navigation-based section. I like how
Shitty place to die.
I like how they keep saying that the pacing was the biggest issue, which I also think is still an issue in Last of Us Part 2. I think it's a tad too long, like an hour-ish maybe. It could have easily been trimmed.
Originally, we had the water line much higher here, so players had to swim through this tight tunnel. However, from watching user test feedback, it was occasionally causing people to discount the route entirely and turn back on themselves. So to avoid any risk of this happening in the final game, we present a lower water level so the tunnel is easy to see and commit to using. Although this isn't as impactful without the prone swim, it's the better decision as it means a smoother experience for the player with no backtracking frustration. As we surface from the water and over the crest of the slope, we reveal what is further in this tunnel, a clicker that has sprouted and the fungus has grown on the sides of the pipe. It was great to see people who user tested this area becoming increasingly worried as we forced the player to squeeze past the fungus and inches away from the clicker's face, all the time not being sure whether the clicker might be alive or attack them. Although we aren't as cruel as to force a clicker attack in such close proximity, we do have a payoff for this moment.
Jump scare?
This clicker momentarily turned into Joel to show Ellie's PTSD from what happened to Joel at the start of the game. Ultimately, we decided to save this moment for the farm level, as it was more impactful there because it could become the centrepiece of that experience. Whereas in the sewers, we weren't able to make it as much of a narrative point and give it the breathing room and reaction time that it deserves, given the tight space.
Wait, I wish they did. I wish they kept that. I think that's really cool. Because the other time he's mentioning was during during a cutscene, not gameplay. This is gameplay. Oh, I recognize this. I think this is where the actual game takes place. Or something. Yeah, I think this is where the game takes place. But that was really cool. What
For the
hell?
final section, we eventually opened you out into a wider area as you traverse through such tight spaces leading up to this. So changing the environmental pacing makes it begin to feel like we're coming to the end of Ellie's ordeal. An earlier iteration used the current that we'd shown at the start for a slightly tougher traversal puzzle to conclude the sewers. The ladder was clearly visible from most of the area, but the player was faced with a fast-flowing torrent of water they couldn't cross. If the player attempted to jump into the water, they were not able to swim across the ladder due to the water's speed, but instead they had to traverse the pipe running along the top of the space in order to get across the water.
Alright, so I need 4 more.
Using this pipe was retained
Oh, I
in the
missed one. I
iteration we
definitely
shipped
missed one
with,
somewhere.
as
Okay.
it's the last of the extreme methods Ellie has to undergo in order to escape the sewers, and what she will go through in her pursuit of revenge.
Might be in there actually. So I missed number 13. I'm hoping it's over here. No. Okay, where's number 13? Can't be. Is it underwater? Because this door one was number 12, right? Let me just check again. I just want to.
For the final section,
Yeah, this is
we
number
eventually
12.
opened you out into a wider area as you traverse through such tight
Came
spaces
from-
leading up to this.
I came from over
So
there.
changing the environmental pacing makes it begin to feel like we're coming to the end of Ellie's ordeal. An earlier iteration used the current that we'd shown at the start for a slightly tougher traversal puzzle to conclude the sewers. The ladder was clearly visible from most of the area, but the player was faced with a fast-flowing torrent of water they couldn't cross. If the player attempted to jump into the water, they were not able to swim across the ladder due to the water's speed, but instead they had to traverse the pipe running along the top of the space in order to get across the water.
Okay, keep in mind, I have 4 left. I know there's one up there, that's 1. There's number 2 over here. And that ladder takes us out of the sewers. I don't see... Excuse me, I don't see where number 13 is. I don't want to miss anything. Come on. Alright, this is number 14.
Using this pipe was retained in the iteration we shipped with, as it's the last of the extreme methods Ellie has to undergo in order to escape the sewers, and what she will go through in her pursuit of revenge.
Alright, this is number 15 then, hopefully?
The last ladder climb is
Yeah.
quite lengthy, and although we could have trimmed it down to a shorter climb, we liked how this last segment of the journey built anticipation for whether there was success at the top or not after all you've been through. Ultimately, the ladder exits out into the subway station, which is how it connects in the final game. Ellie then has to find her way to the hospital from here, crossing paths with the scars.
Alright, yeah, I do remember correctly. Good. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut to until I find number 13. So hopefully yeah, see you guys then, I guess. Alright, here we go, I found it. So I think this is it. So next to this door, there's this broken grate, which I didn't notice was broken first. You can swim under it. And yeah, this is it right here. Good.
This is the first time we get to see stalkers that are embedded into the walls. So this optional room is a nice little early extra that the player gets if they explore. We also use the
Holy
pickups
shit.
to lure players over to be close enough to trigger the stalker's attack. This caused quite a few jump scares with user testers who played our game before its release.
You get off me! I mean, it wasn't a jump scare, but because obviously he said it, that, you know, there's a surprise coming. But I will say this, I just realized Ellie never faces stalkers that are embedded in the wall. It's only Abby when she's going down that big apartment when she's heading to the hospital. Not apartment, sorry, the building. Cool moment though. Very claustrophobic. I like the one bit of combat. It's done. Wait, I think I can just open the door now. Alright. For the third time. So we just have one left, which is, I believe, exiting the ladder. But I do think it was a good decision to remove a lot of the stuff we've seen so far. Though, again, as I said, I wish they kept the Joel thing, because I think that would have hinted at her PTSD, I guess, or trauma, because you never see that moment happen until you go back to the farm with Dina. Could have been a nice way to set it up, I guess. Again, not a big complaint. It was a cool moment though, so. Alright, where is number 16? It should be up here somewhere. Maybe I can explore a bit more. I missed 16, no! You know what, it's okay. It's alright, I missed 16 somewhere, I'm not sure where it was. But that's okay. Alright, final one, the hunt. So both have been about 15 minutes long. So shorter than expected, which is fine. Ellie follows a trail of blood to an abandoned general store.
For this third and final deleted level, what we call the boar hunt sequence, this was a sequence pretty late in the game. It was right after the whole Seattle Abby sequence where Abby spares Ellie. And then we wanted to come back into Ellie's story, but keep it a bit mysterious of how much time has passed, where is Ellie now? So we're coming in on Ellie and she's following a trail of blood. And we wanted to mirror in a way the deer hunt sequence from the first game, but this time do it with a boar. And there's something with Ellie that now she can't let go of this violence. She's pursuing it, even against this innocent animal. This was another opportunity to show how the violence that Ellie has experienced, the violence that she witnessed being afflicted onto Joel, is still sticking with her, and she's still experiencing these PTSD moments. This was a sequence that was pretty far along and was cut pretty late in production. Parts of it are still really rough, but the gameplay, the building blocks were all there. I think you'll have fun to see, like, again, a rough, unfinished sequence that you can play. You can see all the way to the end, and including a cinematic that we end up cutting. And the remnants of the sequence ended up being mentioned in Ellie's journal. So this part of the story that we developed still made its way into the game as kind of optional stuff that you could read about, but here you get to experience it. So as a reminder, this is pretty rough, months away from being finished, but you get to see it now.
Oh, the music. All right, here we go. All right, let's hope I don't miss anything this time. We have our hunting rifle.
Where are you?
So the boar hunt was one
Five
of
of
the
them, okay.
hardest levels for me to work on. It was a huge challenge with the systems that we had, and we kept trying, but it never felt quite right. Originally, The level happened after the Jackson Festival, which also got cut, but before Farm. Once the festival got cut, it became the prologue to Farm. The intended experience is that we jump forward in time after the fight with Abby in the theater. We don't know where Dina is. We likely assume she's dead because she was just bleeding out. Ellie is alone. Her hair is short. So maybe this is the future or the present. And she's hunting. Hunting who? Abby still?
I lose it.
I'm just checking to see. Oh, you can see the snowy cliffs here, which obviously are placeholder. Obviously doesn't make sense in this timeline. It doesn't look like there's anything here. There's only 5 of them, so shouldn't be too difficult to get them all.
There it is.
There it is. Right, so it went that way. What is in here? Nothing. You can even see when she's holding the gun, her left hand doesn't sit properly. I don't have a torch, I just realized. Okay. Pumbaa, where you at?
In early iterations of the fight, it was more arena-like. The player slowly whittles down the boar's health. Ellie gets more visceral and more vicious. We get a little worried about her. As the boar gets weaker, more panicked, more feral, and we start feeling sympathetic to the boar, was the hope. In all of these iterations, especially of these wider areas, it required custom AI and scripting to make sure it continued to feel organic as an animal, but we really needed it to do specific stuff. It needed to be able to close distances really, really quickly. It needed to charge to attack, but we wanted the feeling of hunting, so we needed to track it down from afar. And we also needed to discourage the player from attacking the boar when it's that close, or it would kind of turn into this melee kerfuffle. How do we do this in our world while keeping the boar believable? We must have gone through 5 or 6 iterations of the boar fight and all, and every single time it changed pretty drastically.
Gotcha.
We split it into clear phases, where one was like all long range. We tried another where you're getting close and you get the jump on it quite literally. You're jumping off of a rock to attack it. And then finally, we tried a bunch where you almost sort of go around a bunch of trailers and try and wrestle it. We uncovered after some time that taking down a boar over several phases felt very laborious and a little dramatic. It was comically long, it felt too boss-like, a little too gamey. We decided to cut the first few phases, and we opted for a cold open after the boar had already been hurt off-screen. So that allowed us to focus on feeling like we're closing in on prey and to introduce the boar when it was at its most dangerous. Already hurt, already feral, much too close for comfort. And so the thinking was it would bring us more into Ellie's mindset. Is this really hunting for food, or is she hunting for some other reason? The gas station was built to highlight the boar's destructiveness. Since it's cramped, the boar feels larger. We also feel trapped with it, though perhaps it's trapped with us. When it charges, it gets to us quickly, so we must be on our toes.
Get in there.
This made it more aligned with Ellie's sort of hunting for trouble mindset. Listening became more important, as well as moving around slowly so it didn't hear you. Could you spot it before it saw or heard you? And could you get a shot off quickly enough so you could dodge out of the way? Or is the shot worth the cost after? It feels like a gamble. By the end of the fight, everything would likely be in shambles. The boar would burst through the back, and Ellie would follow it and finally enact revenge.
Oh, okay, so this is like a David section, but with a boar, I see. David from part 1. Alright, Pumbaa. Oh, you're coming around this corner. No, you're not. Yeah, I can see why this would be unnecessary. We don't need to have this kind of section, especially because... Oh, shit. Especially because the Abby section is very similar to this. Hey, get away from me. I'm sorry, Pumbaa. Wait, what? How can I break its line of sight? Look at that. Yeah, because the Abby section is literally this, except obviously better and more in-depth. That was a headshot. You are dead. Oh, you're running. Where are you running?
Nowhere to run.
The boar kill was supposed to be anything but glorious. With the boar whimpering at the back of the gas station after Ellie's relentless hunt. After this, hearing the drone that we kind of come to associate with Ellie's trauma, we would hard cut to the stream where she's washing her hands and holding rabbits that she hunted, about to return to Dina. And there would be no mention of the boar.
Damn. That's very dark. Alright. I don't know about you, but I felt bad for the board. They got the job done. Alright, that's pretty much it. Yeah. Okay, I was about to say during the gameplay, I wonder if there'll be like new story beats that potentially got cut, but there's nothing new in terms of stories. That's good. So the story they wanted to say is completely there in the main game, which is nice. I missed one here, but you know what? I'm not too fussed about it. I do think everything they mentioned makes sense, and all these make sense, and it's good they were cut. The only thing I wished was they kept the crawling through a pipe scene with and the Joel, you know, the clicker briefly turns into Joel. I think that would have been incredible. Would it have been effective at story? Maybe, I don't know. Obviously, I'm not the greatest writer in the world, but I think that it would have been a cool visual shock moment in the game. So that's pretty much it, guys. I quite enjoyed that. I think that was a nice touch. We don't usually get to see a lot of this in video games, so this is something that's pretty cool. What is the behind the scenes stuff? Oh yeah, this is the trailer right here. So this is the trailer, a reveal trailer. So I believe what they've also confirmed is that Grounded 2 will actually be available in the game with an update. And then you have some podcasts, official podcasts. Okay. That's nice. That's pretty cool. So if you guys enjoyed it, do share support below. Next time, I'll be focusing on No Return. I think my goal, at least, is to show off all the characters, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed, do share support below, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.